So it has been a minute since I've made a video in this series. Kind of something I've put to the side a little bit just because, one, I haven't been talking about form as much, which like a lot of what I've been working on is form. And I kind of wanted to just keep that to myself and not try to like make videos about it because it's really hard to do both. It feels like I'm overanalyzing way too much. And two, just kind of like talking about tournaments and stuff. I like to just focus on tournaments in their own right and not try to make videos about them as much. And it's been a lot better for me that way. So I kind of want to like talk about all the tournaments I've played, sort of, or just like generally how I've felt about them and go over like, I think the first video I made in this series, my rating was 919. That was January of 2023. So for those of you that don't know, back in January of 2023, that was kind of right before the start of the 2023 season when I decided to play all MPO, and I started that Road to 1,000 series, which now I am 51 points higher than when I started that series about a year and a half ago. And I am kind of slowly climbing my way up to 1,000. So I'm just gonna play here at Chilai and just talk about some of the stuff that I haven't really been able to talk about over the past couple of months. Maybe talk a bit about the tournaments I'm playing, what I've done to get here, sort of my theories on how I've done everything, how I've gotten better as a player, gotten a higher rating, and like what I'm gonna keep doing to go forward. And what a better mark to show progress than throwing a slower disc on a hole that you used to throw a faster disc on. I think the last time I did a video here, I threw a Halo Destroyer on this hole. I'm now throwing Firebird. I'm actually gonna go Draco because there's a little bit of wind. Not saying I'm gonna park it, I never really got that close with the Destroyer that often, but I've gone way too long with the Destroyer too many times now at this point to throw it anymore. It's really inside. We'll go 2 off the top because that was bad and I don't think I needed that much stability. I think I misread the wind a little bit. Gotta go higher and a little bit flatter. That feels perfect. That felt good. I don't know if it was actually good. All right, so the Firebird actually was really good. Maybe could have used a little more power, but the wind probably didn't help. Draco was like 15 feet back, just a little too much hyzer. You know how many times on this hole I've had this exact putt and just not made it? Yeah, come on. There we go. It's a warm up. Now, I think like looking back to the start of this year versus the start of last year, I think the biggest difference in my like preparation that has made this year so much more successful, and let me fix this camera a little bit. So the biggest difference between like my preparation in the offseason going into this year versus last year is most definitely putting. And I think that is a huge key to my success. Like I've said this a million times, but putting is just so unbelievably important. And if you don't have that, like pretty much nothing else matters. I've seen plenty of players who have fantastic drives, like throw so well, and they just cannot putt, or they have horrible nerves. And you know, the mental game is one thing, but just practicing does so much. And practicing like so much more than you think is so much more important than most people realize, I think. Like I was doing unbelievable, like 1,000 putts a day, not even kidding. Whereas going into the season before, I worked on a lot of things, but putting was just like, to me, like one equally sized piece of the puzzle, where I think putting was like one of the biggest things, especially in the winter, like where I'm at, I can't play out as much, so I'm just putting every single day. Dude, one of these days I'll finally park this hole with a mid-range. I'm always kind of just off a little bit. Threw that way too high, but maybe it'll swing back. Sorry if I was in front of the camera. It swung back, but way short. And like to piggyback on that putting point a little bit, like something that I've noticed throughout this year is that as the season has gone on, I've dialed my putting practice back quite a bit from what it was in the off season, just because I'm playing more, I'm focusing more on courses. And like my putting has fallen a little bit as a result. I don't think my putting is quite as good as it was earlier in the year. And I think it's like partially mental, but also just like anytime I would get a little bit of extra putting practice in during a week, I would feel like I had that muscle memory kind of locked in a little bit more, as opposed to having to like conjure up good putts during a round. It was a lot more natural to me. I actually think C2 putts has been like a huge, easy way to see that. I was making 45 footers like it was nothing, and I've kind of gotten worse at them as the year has gone on. Let's see if I can kind of make this weird putt. Swing back. Oh, just past it. Now, another thing that's been like a huge focus point for me, obviously, from the beginning is form. I just think I think form is so important, being able to throw efficiently and avoid injuries. Like I think bad form can lead to injuries if you're playing a lot, which I am, and just being able to generate more power easily, like it just makes hitting gaps easier, it makes playing longer courses easier, it makes playing a lot of holes easier because you can throw different discs than other people. So that's just like a huge benefit, and I've been working on form a lot, but like one of the hardest things about working on form is doing it during the season, because as much as you want to do in the off season, there's going to be things that you realize or notice or want to work on while you're playing tournaments that you won't really pick up on in the off season when you're not playing as much. And especially when I film myself so much just for videos or like just working on form stuff, I'm always noticing stuff that I want to work on, and it's hard for me to not notice it. So like striking that balance of working on form while also knowing to like kind of ignore those thoughts and just worry about playing well in the moment. Because there's, I think, a big difference between throwing and worrying about throwing with good form and then worrying about like executing the shot. I think those are two different mindsets to have. And if I ever find myself going back to that form mindset during a tournament, it is very rarely good for me. And so when you do work on form, solidifying those things has been really helpful. So the tournaments where I'm not worried about form as much, I tend to play a lot better. But there's been like one or two where I was thinking about it too much and it definitely hurt me. I'm gonna try going FD1 on this one. I usually throw like a overstable 9-speed, but it's been getting a little left on me lately. Oh, I threw it so inside. Yeah, I hit a branch. Yeah, the thing about the Firebird is you can trust it way out right and it'll come back. I probably can with the FD1, but I'm not trusting it mentally. Oh, it might be too low though. Those are both terrible. I'm just gonna skip this hole. Okay, I want it to be known I wasn't cheating for the camera there. I actually had a putt look on both of those, and I would have got an extremely easy par. I just think that's boring. I've actually been getting kind of good at this hole. Let's see if I can execute. Oh, that's so bad. Ugh. All right, so I somehow magically stayed safe, but there's not like a good way for me to set the camera up. So I'm just gonna show you where the disc goes. It's actually kind of a hard shot. It's gotta be like a little Toro flex potential throw-in. Ooh, good little redirection. Now, another thing that's of course like super important to work on, right? Working on form, working on putting, and then I'd say the third thing, I think there's like 3 sort of pieces to the triangle. The third one is mental game, and they kind of tie into both, right? Form work and mental game tie together, putting and mental game tie together. But just like working on your mental, like not letting yourself get upset, and also like picking the right tournaments and the right courses, because sometimes I would play tournaments at courses I just didn't like, and I kind of would just keep doing them over and over. Like one for me is Syracuse Open. Nothing against like the tournament director really, or the courses or anything. I just don't like them. And so even though I want to get the cash and like do well and it's a big tournament, I go and I don't enjoy it. So like there's kind of not much of a reason for me to go to tournaments like that. It's not like I'm on tour and have to show up to this tournament. It's just some random B tier. So I've learned to just kind of like skip out on the tournaments I don't like, and I've actually been a lot happier for it. I've had more time to work on stuff in between, and it makes the tournaments I do play matter so much more. And then just like mental game along with that, just like keeping cool, trusting the process, and it's kind of worked out for me for the most part. This is a hole where mental game matters, just like a gut check, just like hit the gap. It's so easy, but you have to hit that gap halfway down the fairway. Okay, I'm actually gonna go FD1 and flex it. Now just come back. I've been throwing them kind of low on this hole. I think it's like a little uphill, you know? Dude, look at this weak sauce throw. I feel like if I'm not parked on this hole, I'm sad. Like I usually hit the branches or something, or I'm like almost going OB. You know what? This is outside. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a stepper right at that chain link right there. Oh, that was so much lower. I think there's a bit of a tailwind out here. So those are kind of like the main things I'm thinking about all the time, just keeping like all three of those in check, right? Making sure my form is solid, working on the things I gotta work on, making sure my putting's good, I'm practicing it a lot, and then just making sure my mental game's good from tournament to tournament, having like goals to set for things like that, especially for mental game, like wanting to just stay cool for each event. And then just kind of setting other goals for myself outside of that. So like a huge goal that I've had, well, obviously one is the 1,000 rating, but that's kind of like really far ahead. And kind of along with that, I actually want to try to become the highest, if not one of the highest rated players in New York. There's a lot of like good players around my rating, a little bit higher, that I want to pass up. And I think it'd be really cool to kind of surpass all of them. So that's like a good goal for me to just kind of keep going for that. But like comparison is also like a tough thing for me sometimes, because I've noticed that a lot of the times when I'm doing well, I kind of look down on myself and like don't, you know, think that I can do well in a tournament just because I haven't like won a big tournament yet. But like with each milestone, I've kind of gotten more confident, but I'm also learning to just like trust myself even if I haven't done it yet. Because part of being able to do it for the first time is having that trust in yourself to begin with. No, that's way too far right. Unless it swings back. It went through the tree. The spot is like literally so bad. This is why you don't want to go right. Maybe like a big turnover putter. I know you literally can't even see what I'm throwing, where I'm throwing, but I'm just going up and around some trees. Not that interesting. You get a little form check. Dude, this might be a hole that I gotta start throwing like a Firebird or a Draco on. I'm pushing way too far lately. Basket's behind this guy. Okay, I'm not actually gonna talk on anything on this hole just because ever since I lost my buzz at Warwick, which someone definitely stole, and stole my rangefinder. So yeah, fuck those people. I have not been able to execute the shot because this hex has not quite gotten to where my buzz was. And I really just want to give it the anhyzer it needs. The buzz would just turn over perfectly for me. That might be too much. See, I gotta give it too much. Maybe that's close. That's why I don't like it. I want to be able to just throw it flat and let it coast, but I have to give it so much anhyzer. Ugh, sucks losing a disc like that. You know, a disc that does have that shape though is my Pure. Maybe I'll just try and, what is it, 360? I should be able to do 360 with a Pure on an anhyzer, right? I don't know, maybe not. Let's try it. I might need to give it more height. I think it's gonna be short. Yeah, needed to give it more height. Dude, look at what I gotta do here. This is why you don't want to turn it over. Oh, hey. Oh, I didn't bring a disc to forehand, but there's a little Guindo here. Just a little Pure forehand. Look at this, bro. Easy peasy with the Pure. All right, something I kind of touched on a minute ago, but I actually kind of want to point out is like that sort of hunger that you get from not playing events for a while in the full off season. I played Denison Meltdown. That was in early March, took third. It was pouring rain the whole time in like 40, 45 degrees. Like it wasn't great conditions. And the year prior, it was also bad conditions and I played absolutely terrible. I told myself I wouldn't go back to that course just because of how awful it was. Like it's just a C tier. And I just went there, took third, got some money. I played really well. And then I went to Frommer Woods and got a win in a flex start, which is cool. Another one, terrible conditions. It was like a 5-hour round in the snow. My feet were soaking wet. It was super cold out. It was genuinely awful. But just kind of that hunger, that wanting to succeed, it made me push through. Then kind of a little bit of a lull, and then Webster Face-Off, a tournament that I did well at the year prior, but had some hiccups with, just popped off and won my first like actual win, solo win, not a C tier, flex start. Well, that was a C tier, but not a flex start. And yeah, that was like a big moment for me, being able to hang on to a win. Actually, it was a comeback because I was in second going into round 2. So just kind of like, I think from there on out, I ended up playing a lot of tournaments back to back for a while, but like giving myself the time to like prepare for it, get excited for it, and not just playing a tournament every weekend. Like there are stretches of time where you can play a couple in a row, but just like having a little bit of time in between, even if you really want to play, just to really make them count more and make you want it more, and to have more time to practice, I think is like, that's actually like kind of a big thing for me this year that I didn't do last year. Check it out, there's a cheat code on this hole now. I think this tree fell down a little bit, it's kind of in your way. So now I just go big spike hyzer, try to crash down in between that pine tree on the left and that last tree on the left. and then just get like behind the basket. You're not really looking to park it, and then you have like a little 15-foot uphill putt. I think I did it. Oh, it caught the tree. Yeah, that's the thing you don't want to do. Like, it's not necessarily a high percentage play, but I don't know. I feel like going up the middle is so hard now because you literally have like probably that much space to get through, and then to get all the way up there. Spike hyzer might make it through, you have a putt, or you might get here and you're pretty much laying up. I'm gonna run it though because my score here doesn't matter. Come on. Oh, it just, wow. It like fluttered out a little bit and didn't quite get back, and just got it right around it. There it is. Oh. All right, just for funsies, I'll just drain this comebacker real quick. Just a quick like 35-footer uphill, like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. So I was gonna make this an 18-hole video, but I don't think I have 10 more holes of talking in me. So I guess I'll just kind of wrap things up. We could play hole 9 and get out of here. I feel like this video is kind of long as is. I don't know how long this has been. But yeah, I mean, coming up, I have a little C tier this weekend just to kind of get the juices flowing. It's been a couple weeks since I've played a tournament. And I got CCR Open, which is a A tier Q series. And then I'm coming back home for the AFDO, which is an A tier as well. It's gonna be right in my hometown, not hometown, but where I'm living, I guess. My hometown, technically Buffalo. And I think I got some other stuff coming up. Norbrook Fall Fling. Surprisingly, no one signed up for it because I guess it wasn't on Disc Golf Scene until like very recently. But that's another A tier over in Connecticut later in the year. So I got a couple bigger events this year that I could still kind of do well at and have a good showing at. So I'm kind of looking forward to just doing my best at those. And I've also gotten to the point where as rating increases come, a lot of the rating increases I've had from last year, yes, I was playing better, but also I was dropping like some pretty bad rounds. And I've gotten to the point where I'm gonna have to start playing better than I have for most of the year, or at least kind of pick it up a little bit to be able to outweigh the rounds that I had. Because now at this point, last year, I'm still dropping off some bad rounds, but like kind of towards the end of the year, once we get into like September, October, I was playing pretty well. Like I was shooting 980, 990 pretty frequently. So being able to have those 980, 990 rounds as like my sort of baseline and then being able to punch above that is kind of my next step that I'm hoping to do. Otherwise, things are gonna start to stagnate. Also, even if I do shoot like a 1040 round or like high, like lower 1,000 rated rounds, but like punching over 1,000, I think my standard deviation is actually gonna get larger, and some of my currently dropped rounds might come back, but those will get dropped soon anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. Like I said, started this series, I was 919, I'm 970 now. You know, 1,000 feels more in reach than it ever has been, that 970 mark, just a big round number that feels kind of just that next milestone. Then it'll be like kind of 980, 990. I know enough players that are kind of up in those numbers anyways, and I feel like I can roll with them pretty easily. So I don't think it's gonna be too long until I'm making my way up there and hopefully being able to play maybe some tour stops, maybe like competing sort of for some top 10s at A tiers. I've been kind of in the mix earlier this year at some A tiers and then threw myself out of it or screwed up in the middle of a round. But I mean, I kind of know what I gotta do. So let's play hole 9. Take probably a par because there's a headwind. So I'll throw to Destroyer because I haven't been throwing that well today. Too much yapping probably. And probably get my par and get out of here. I threw that nose up. It took a kick just like straight back. I'll go one more, why not? We'll go Thunderbird. Why can't, I should be able to throw like 400 into a headwind, right? With a Thunderbird. There you go. It's just kind of short though. Whatever, who cares? This feels like a good time to work on my like Anheuser putt because I'm really gonna have to get this on Annie. I could throw a forehand and park it, but I want to throw a good Anheuser putt. Oh, did you see that? I hit the other disc. I hit the other disc when I was coming up. All right, one more try. There we go. That almost went in. You know, one more thing I'll say, this has nothing to do with the topic of the video, but just in general, I am so much worse of a player when I'm carrying around my camera and my tripod filming myself that actually that one chill round video that I did here at Chilai where I played really well, I actually took a Gorilla Pod and put it on my cart so I wouldn't have to carry my tripod around. Something about talking to the camera, carrying the tripod, I'm kind of in like video making mode, and I just don't play as good disc golf. So if you see me playing here and you're like, how the heck is this guy 970 rated? He throws so many bad shots. Well, that's why. I'm just like so not focused in these videos usually, so it's a little more goofing around. If you do like these like road to 1,000 videos that I've done, I know I haven't focused on them as much, but that's like the main thing I wanted to do when making this channel, is sort of show my progress as I become a better player, talk about the things that I'm working on. And so this road to 1,000 is kind of like a centerpiece of the channel in a way, just to kind of like talk about what I've been working on, how I've been becoming better. And I'm hoping it's a good thing to look back on for people who are trying to get better, especially once I do hopefully reach the higher rating that I'm going for. Because sometimes, you know, it can be tough to want to get better, and, you know, disc golf isn't a sport where you have like a lot of coaches. You know, one thing I've always wished I've had is like a personal coach. And so as I'm kind of just figuring this out for myself, I kind of want to share that with other people and just chronicle my progress and how that goes. So I hope this was somewhat interesting. I don't know, maybe this video sucks. Maybe no one's going to watch it. I don't really care. I had fun talking about it, and I'm excited for the rest of the season. And I hope I can hit that 1,000 rating mark soon. Man, like, I'll give myself maybe 2 years. If I can get 1,000 rated in 2 years, it'll be pretty sick. I think that these last 30 points are gonna be tough. But I also think that this off season I can do a lot to help with that. And there's a lot of like tournaments that I've played for the first time this year, and things that I'm gonna change going into the next year that I think will be a lot better for my like overall consistency and play and all that stuff. So, okay, that's enough talking. I'm sure you guys are done listening to me yap if you're at this point. I'll see you next time. Bye. Peace.